Last night, I dreamt I went to Mandalay again.
This one, for instance, might have been designed for you. I'm sure you could have it copied. I've heard Mr. de Winter say that this is his favorite of all the paintings. It's Lady Caroline de Winter, one of his ancestors.
Oh, well, that's a splendid idea, Mrs. Danvers. I'm very grateful.
Oh, madam, what will Mr. de Winter say? Yes. What will he say?
I can't imagine what's going on. She's been up there for hours. Big occasion for her, old boy.
Miss Caroline de Winter!
Good evening, Mr. de Winter.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
What the devil do you think you're doing?
The white dress.
Go and change now before anybody comes.
The one in the gallery.
Change.
Yes, change. It doesn't matter what you put on. Anything will do.
What is it? What have I done?
What are you
Don't take it
standing
off.
there for? Didn't you
No
hear
matter
what
what you put
I
on,
said?
anything will do. What are you standing there for? Didn't you hear what I said?
I watched you go down, just as I watched her a year ago.
Are you happy now, Mrs.
Even in the
Danvers?
same dress you couldn't compare.
You knew it. You knew
made
that
me
you
wear that
and yet
dress
you
last
deliberately
night.
suggested I wear it.
You did it just to hurt
Why
Mr.
do you
de
hate
Winter.
me? What have I
To
done to
make
you
him
that you should
suffer.
ever hate me so?
You tried
Hasn't
to take
he
her
suffered
place.
enough?
You let him marry you.
Do you think
Why don't you
his
go?
pain can bring Rebecca back
Why don't you
again?
leave Mandalay? He
It's
doesn't need
no
you.
use, is it?
He's got his memories.
You'll never get the better of
He
her.
doesn't love you. He wants to be alone again with her.
Even if she's dead, she's still
You've
mistress
nothing to
here.
stay for.
She'll always be the
You've
real
nothing to live for,
Mrs.
really,
de
have you?
Winter.
Look
Why
down
don't you
there.
leave Mandalay
It's
to her?
easy, isn't it?
Go on.
Why don't you?
Don't be afraid.
Why don't you?
He wants to be alone with her again.
Go on.
It's you that should be dead.
Don't
Why
be
don't you
afraid.
jump?
What is it? What's happened?
It's the rockets. There must be a ship down
on the
there.
rocks! Ship aground! Sending up rockets!
Frank, what's the matter? Is anything wrong? There is something wrong.
Well, the diver who went down to inspect the bottom of the ship came across the hull of another boat, a little sailboat.
Frank, is it?
Yes, it's Rebecca's.
It's too late.
It's all over now.
We've lost our chance of
The
happiness.
things happen.
It's happened.
The thing I've dreaded
always
day
knew
after
would
day.
happen. Always.
Night after night.
And I remember
what
that
are you
look in
trying
her
to
eyes
tell me?
before she died. She knew this would happen.
Rebecca has won.
Rebecca knew she'd win in the end.
What are you telling me?
Her shadow has been...
It's Rebecca's body they found in the
lying there on the
boat.
cabin floor.
Look, the woman buried in the crypt.
The woman that was
Someone
washed up at Edgecombe.
belonging nowhere, no
The
name,
woman that is now buried in the
unclaimed.
family crypt.
No
That
one
was not Rebecca.
never was an accident.
That was the body of some
Rebecca
unknown
didn't
woman.
drown. I
Unclaimed.
killed her.
Belonging nowhere.
I killed her in the cottage. I carried her body to the boat and sank it.
There.
Can you tell me you love me now?
The affairs she'd had.
Will you look into my eyes
Sort of
and
man.
tell me that you love me now?
Plenty of detail.
You thought I
And
loved
she didn't
Rebecca.
intend to change.
You thought that?
Look, I'll make a bargain with you.
I hated her.
Of course, I'll look after your precious plans. I'll make it the most famous showplace in the country.
But I never had a
I'll say
moment's
we're the
happiness.
happiest, luckiest, handsomest couple
She
in
was
all
incapable of love.
What a triumph. What a goddamn triumph will be, Max.
You didn't love
Oh, what a leg pull.
Do you remember
What a
that
wonderful,
clip when you
marvelous
first saw me in
joke.
Monte Carlo? Well, I went there
You'll
with
go
Rebecca
along with it,
on our
Max?
honeymoon.
Of
That was when I
course you
found
will.
out about her.
Anything
4
for the
days
pride and
we were
honor
married.
of your good name and Mandalay.
She stood there laughing, her black hair blowing in the wind.
Of course you will.
told me all about herself. Everything. She was lying on the
Put the gun
divan.
away.
A large
He
tray of
isn't
cigarette
here.
stubs beside her.
No one's here.
She looked ill.
And it isn't
Queer.
over, Max.
Suddenly she got up,
I'm not prepared to just go.
started to walk toward me. When I have a child, she said, neither you nor anyone else could ever prove it wasn't yours. Would like to have an heir,
Suppose
wouldn't you,
I had a
Max, for your
child,
precious
Max.
Mandalay? And she started to
Who's
laugh.
going to prove it isn't yours?
How
No
funny.
one.
How supremely, wonderfully
It'd be the thrill
funny.
of your life, wouldn't it,
I'll be
Max?
the perfect
To
mother,
watch my
just as
son
I've
grow
been the
into his
perfect wife.
inheritance.
No one will ever know.
We have the modern
You ought to give
marriage,
you the
don't
thrill
we,
of your
Max?
life, Max. To watch my
Everyone
son
knows that.
grow bigger day by
Get
day.
proof.
And to know that when you die, Mandalay will be
No,
his.
you won't. Not a chance.
She was face to face with me.
God's too well.
One hand in her
We're a
pocket,
loving couple.
the other holding a
We
cigarette.
adore each other.
She was
Not a
smiling.
servant here knows any different.
Well, Max, what are you going to
God,
do
it's
about
so
it?
funny. All the smug locals and
Aren't you
miserable
going to
peasants
kill
who
me?
bow and scrape to you. They'll be so pleased. What we've
I
always
suppose
hoped
I
for,
went
Mrs.
mad
de
for
Winter, they'll all say.
I must have struck her. She stood staring at me. She looked almost triumphant. Then she started toward me again, smiling. Suddenly she stumbled and fell. I carried her out to the boat. It was very dark. There was no moon. I put her in the cabin. When the boat seemed a safe distance from the shore, I took a spike and drove it again and again through the planking of the hull. I opened up the sea cocks and the water began to come in fast. I climbed over into the dinghy and pulled away.
Knew she'd destroy me in the end.
Rebecca is dead. She can't harm you anymore.
But there's her body.
If they find out it was
They'll
Rebecca,
identify it.
you must simply say that you made a mistake
Rings
about the other
next to
body.
her clothes. It's not like a
The
body
day you went
left
to
at
Edgecombe,
sea.
you were ill. You didn't know what you were
Battered
doing.
against the rocks.
Rebecca's dead. That's what we've got to remember. Rebecca's dead. She can't
You
speak.
must
She can't
say
bear witness.
that the other body
She
was a
can't harm you
mistake.
anymore.
The body
We're the
in
only
the
two
crypt
people in the
was a
world that
mistake.
know Maxim. You and
When you
I.
identified it as her, you were distraught, ill. You didn't know what you were doing. It was a mistake. You will say that, won't you, Maxim?
I told you once that I'd done a very selfish thing in marrying you. You can understand now what I meant. I've loved you, my darling. I shall always love you.
The late Mrs. de Winter used to send her boat to your shipyard for reconditioning.
That's right, sir.
Was the boat in a fit state to put to sea?
She was, when I fitted her out in April last year.
Had the boat ever been known to capsize before?
No, sir. And I'd as soon heard of it from Mrs. de Winter if it had.
It seems Mrs. de Winter relaxed her watchfulness for a moment and lost her life.
Excuse me, sir.
But there's a
But
little
there's
more to it than that. What do you mean, Mr. Dad? I mean, sir, the sea cocks.
After the boat was brought up, I got permission from the harbour master to examine her.
That boat never capsized at all. I know it's a terrible thing to say, sir, but in my opinion, she was scuttled.
What I want to know is, who drove the holes in her planking?
What's the fellow telling us now?
Are you saying deliberately done?
I am, sir. I'm saying the boat never capsized at all. She was scuttled.
Mr. de Winter, do you know anything about those holes driven in the planking?
Nothing whatever.
It is a shock to you, of course.
I'm sorry to drag you back for further questioning, Mr. de Winter, but you've heard the statement of Mr. Tabb. I wonder if you can help us in any way.
I'm afraid not.
Can you think of any reason why there should be holes in the planking of the late Mrs. de Winter's boat?
Well, of course I can't think of any reason.
But you must remember that I don't conduct this inquiry for my own amusement.
That's rather obvious, isn't it?
I hope that it is.
I don't do it for my own amusement.
That's quite obvious.
No, Maxim, don't lose your temper.
Mr. de Winter, however painful it may be, I have to ask you a very personal question. Were relations between you and the late Mrs. de Winter perfectly happy?
Mr. de Winter, painful as it may be, it is my duty to ask you a very personal question.
Very well.
Were relations between you and the late Rebecca de Winter perfectly happy?
Don't stand
stand this any longer, and you might as well know now.
We'll adjourn till after lunch. Mr. De Winter, I presume you'll be available for us then?